Well, yeah, you're very right. We had, last year introduced the Grand Vitara in the mid SUV segment. We started sales of that model sometime in end of September. It is, we have had an amazing response to the Grand Vitara, 140,000 plus bookings. In fact, 144,000 is already crossed. And the market share went up from about 10.6% the previous year to this quarter of almost 17.5%. Going forward, you're right, you just mentioned we will be introducing the two new SUVs, the Fronx and the Jimny. Jimny is in the more, it's a slightly more niche in the sense that it's a lifestyle SUV. It's also used for off-roading and so on. But really the very important model which would be and should be a volume model is the Fronx. And the Fronx, the booking for which is started, we've got about 16,500 bookings so far. And it's meant for those consumers, it's who are like urban, clearly wanting something more fresh. They are technologically savvy, want a lot of features in the car, and that is something which the Fronx provides. Fronx is in the same category as an entry SUV, where you have the Brezza, you have the Sonnet, you have the Venue, the Nexon, the Punch, the Magnite, and this is the largest subsegment of the passenger vehicle industry. And I would guess that with these two models, our SUV market share should next year go up to almost 25%. And our MD has given us a target that we should be number one in the SUV space as well. We are, by the way, number one in MUV space for the last 5 years in the MUV space. But now, our target is to be number one individually in the SUV space as well. So clearly there, in a very, as I said, it's a very competitive space, the entry SUV segment. There are more than 20 brands in this segment, clearly very competitive, and a very large number of brands compete there. So there would be some amount of cannibalization. But the way we look at it is that the consumer type for these two brands, the Brezza and the Fronx, are different. And clearly, even if there is cannibalization, we feel it will be minimal. However, we do hope that we'll be able to attract consumers from our competitors and thereby help us improve our market share. In the non-SUV space, our market share is more than 65%, but clearly our market share in SUV pulls down the overall market share. And if we want to achieve our objective of 50% market share in the medium term, we need to improve our market share in the SUV space, and that's what I believe Fronx will do. But clearly it's a very difficult task. However, yes, it's a task worth taking. It's an objective that will really galvanize our sales force, because to be number 2 brand in the country with the Nexa, it's clearly though tough, but something which was worth pursuing. It's a challenge which we have taken. Probably we are looking at sales of close to 600,000 in that segment, in the Nexa channel next year. We did about 370,000 in this year, but we have the advantage of Fronx the full year, Jimny almost the full year, 11 months or so, and the Grand Vitara for the whole 12 months. We are therefore hopeful that yes, if we are able to achieve that, really it would be something we'll be very proud of. So clearly the base effect is there, and that is why the projections for the industry going forward is in that 5 to 7% range. from the level of about 3.9 million which it achieved in 22-23 to about 4.05 to 4.1 million in 2023-24. So that growth is a little more moderate than what we have seen in the recent past. We saw a 13.5% growth the previous year and a 27% growth in the 22-23 financial year. So clearly from that perspective, a moderation. And yes, you are right, there are many positive factors, but there are other factors which we are taking a very close look at just to see if there is no negative impact of it. And interest rate is one of them, with the sticky inflation, repo rates going up, and those are getting translated and transmitted into the actual loan rates. And as you know, in auto, 80% of the retail happens through finance. So that's a negative which we have to look at very carefully. And also we have projected some sort of we have taken into account a growth about 6.5% for the economy, which was the projection made by the RBI as well as in the budget which was presented by the finance minister. But clearly some analysts are now talking of a 6 to 6.4% growth rate with a negative bias. So that's also something, because the growth in the auto industry is very closely correlated with the overall economic growth. And the third red flag is the rural area, where there are expectations that the El Nino which disturbs the monsoon patterns, can have a negative impact on the agricultural incomes as well as the sentiments in the rural areas. And rural areas now contribute to almost 30% of the industry. In case of Maruti Suzuki, almost 44% of our portfolio is through rural sales. So yes, there are some red flags, but in the balance, we haven't really modified our last projection, which was a 5 to 7% growth for the industry. We do hope to grow faster. Of course, it is there are factors there also which we need to be careful of, which includes the supply of managing the production and the supply part, because clearly we lost a lot of vehicles. In fact, Q3 we lost about 47,000 vehicles. In Jan-Feb March quarter also we lost many vehicles, and in April it's expected that we will lose vehicles because of the production non-availability of semiconductors. Because of which production will be lost. So I think this problem is going to continue for a few more quarters, but hopefully if we can manage that well, then yes, we should grow faster than the industry.